वरिष्ठ नेता नहीं पहुंच पाए क्योंकि कल रात देर रात तक काउंटिंग चली है। तो हम लोग सब लोग मिलकर फिर एक बार एक ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग करके और विधानसभा के लिए हमारी स्ट्रेटेजी तय करेंगे। और मैं निश्चित रूप से जो आंकड़े मैंने आपके सामने रखे हैं, ये आंकड़े इस बात को प्रूव करते हैं कि जरूर महाविकास आघाड़ी को एक इमोशनल एडवांटेज इन आंकड़ों से मिला होगा, लेकिन जमीन पर आज हम मजबूत हैं और अपनी गलतियों को दूर करके वापिस लोगों के बीच जाकर हम लोग जो हमको अधिक का लोगों से आशीर्वाद चाहिए वो संपादित करने की कोशिश करेंगे। इस पूरे चुनाव में हमारे प्रदेश के अध्यक्ष बावनकुळे जी, हमारे मुंबई के अध्यक्ष आशीष शेलार जी, इन्होंने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है। मैं निश्चित रूप से उनकी प्रशंसा करता हूं। कार्यकर्ताओं ने भी जी जान से काम किया है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ताओं ने केवल खुद की कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में नहीं, शिवसेना की और एनसीपी की कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में भी बहुत अच्छे से काम किया है। हाँ, ये जरूर है और जो मैं स्पष्ट रूप से मान्य करता हूं कि इसके ऊपर भी हम लोग निर्णय करेंगे। और साथ साथ महाराष्ट्र में चूंकि एक प्रकार से भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सारी जिम्मेदारी महाराष्ट्र में एक लीडर के रूप में मेरे ऊपर थी, तो ये जो हमारा महाराष्ट्र में डिबैकल हुआ है या जो हमें एक प्रकार से हार मिली है, हमारी सीटें कम हुई है, इसकी पूरी जिम्मेदारी ये मेरी है। मैं इस जिम्मेदारी को स्वीकारता हूं। कहाँ कमियां रही है उसको पूरा करने की कोशिश करूंगा। मैं भागने वाला आदमी तो हूं नहीं और जोरों से मैदान में उतरूंगा और हमारी पूरी पार्टी को साथ में लेकर हम लोग वापस नई स्ट्रैटेजी तैयार करेंगे और नई स्ट्रैटेजी तैयार करके हम लोग जनता के बीच जाएंगे। जनता का जो विश्वास है उस विश्वास को हम लोग संपादित करेंगे।
Well, amidst all the political chatter and the developments, look where the markets are. We're holding 3.25% higher, almost a 700-point gain on the Nifty futures alone right now, with indices Bank staging a move of over 8%. M&M is higher by over 6%. The Adani names have made a massive comeback. Of course, a long way to go before they undo yesterday's damage. But Adani Ports is higher by about 6% as we speak right now. Hero MotoCorp has been a very resilient one. That was the case yesterday. Today as well, the stock holding higher. Look at cases like Hindalco. It started off gap down after the news of Novelis IPO getting pushed back came out, and then a massive recovery coming in from there. About a 5.5% uptick is what Hindalco alone is sitting on. Axis, Bajaj Finance, Tata Steel, ICICI Bank holding up nearly 5%. A massive comeback by the markets today. But yeah, surely it's all about politics, and the political temperatures have been rising as efforts to put a coalition government together has been gathering pace. Earlier today, in fact, the TDP chief Chandrababu Naidu addressed a press conference and reaffirmed support to the NDA. The NDA partners are all set to meet at the Prime Minister's residence also later today. Prakash Priyadarshi joins in with more on the latest that's happening on the political front, and then of course we'll take it across to Samir as well. But Prakash, you go first.
Yes, an important meeting took place where the two important development has taken place. The first one is the Union Cabinet has decided to approve the proposal to dissolve the 70th Lok Sabha, and then there was a meeting of Council of Ministers where the Council of Ministers have submitted their resignation to the Prime Minister, and subsequently Prime Minister has moved to the President's house where he met President, tendered his resignation along with the Council of Ministers, which was accepted by the President, but the President has requested the Prime Minister to continue as a caretaker Prime Minister till the time next government formed. These are the two important developments that has taken place. Along with that, remember, we are given to understand that an important meeting is going to take place on 70th around 2 p.m. where the NDA's elected members of parliament would hold an important meeting where the Prime Minister Modi would be selected as the head of the India Parliamentary Board. So that's the important development coming in. And then after, on 8th June, we are given to understand that the Prime Minister is likely to take sworn in. The second important development which is expected today, later in the day, the two important meetings are scheduled. The one is NDA, which is at 5 p.m. likely, where the NDA partners are going to chalk out their strategy, how they are going to form the government as they have comfortable majority beyond 290 seats. Along with that, the second meeting, which is scheduled at around 6 p.m. today at the Congress President residence, where the India Bloc Alliance partners will chalk out their strategy as to whether they will remain with the opposition or they will try for the treasury benches. So these are the important development which is expected today. But the important factor at this point of time is that the NDA seems to be forming the government comfortably as they have 290 plus seats at this point of time, and it is expected that the Prime Minister later today will meet President and stake a claim to form the next government. Back to you.
Right. In fact, the India bloc as well is all set to hold a meeting later this evening at the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge's residence. Curiously, RJD leader Tejasvi Yadav and JDU's Nitish Kumar also were seen travelling in the same flight. What's been cooking among the India Alliance partners? Samir, what are you picking up?
So right now I'm standing in front of 10 Rajaji Marg, Mallikarjun Kharge residence, the Congress President residence, where the key meeting is going to take place at 6 p.m. today evening. That's the residence where all the opposition party leaders, they will be coming together, and the two big questions that they will be discussing. The first big question is whether to stake the claim for forming the government or not. Yes, as of now, India bloc, they have performed well. They have got a considerable number of seats. But just now we see JDU leader, Sir, just now we have seen that couple of leaders, they are coming, but the big question is whether they are going to stake the claim for forming the government that they will be discussing. Another key factor is that they will be pitching to TDP, Telugu Desam Party and JDU. That's the big question that they will be discussing. And the third one, which we are picking up from our sources, that out of the two Lok Sabha seats from where Rahul Gandhi has won, Wayanad and Raebareli, so which one to retain and which one to lose, that's the big question. That is also likely to be discussed in this important or the crucial meeting which is going to take place at 6 p.m. But the two big questions, that whether they will be the opposition party or the India bloc, they will be claiming to form the government or not, that will be discussed over here. We are also picking up from our sources that Uddhav Thackeray will not be present at the meeting, but the representation is likely to be done by Sanjay Raut. Another party, TMC, Mamata Banerjee will not be present in the meeting, but the representation is likely to be done by Abhishek Banerjee. We are also getting to know that Aam Aadmi Party representation will be there. In addition to this, Samajwadi Party representation will also be there in this important meeting. So all in all, India bloc, which comprises of around 28 political parties, they will be having discussion at 6 o'clock, and we are likely to get some sort of announcement or a media briefing by around 8 p.m. today itself.
Amir and Prakash, so that was the latest development as far as the political screen is concerned. But let's shift focus and talk about the market screen, where things are lighting up very differently. In fact, yes, just the reverse of what happened yesterday. Amisha Vora, along with Shrikant and Kunal are here. But let's take the discussion forward with Amisha. Amisha, how's the discourse at your office this morning after yesterday's massive fall? Have you guys been recommending your HNI clients funds? The action is only short covering, or some genuine buying? The cash on the side has started to being deployed now.
So I'll give you a little color of what happened yesterday, and of course I'll give you color what is happening today. So on our institutional desk yesterday, compared to our average volume, the volume was 4x. Initially, it started with a lot of selling, but in last 1.5 to 2 hours, we were net buyers. As far as HNI and retail desk is concerned, of course, clients had a huge mark to market to take care of, and there were certain selling also. Today, as the market started recovering, it's not that what we are recommending. More important is that how is the, from HNI retail desk, how is the liquidity position? And I can say that some of the very large HNI and family offices pre-election had created a huge cash position and they have been deploying it today.
But the fear, the essential fundamental fear which set in yesterday was that a weak win by BJP could lead to the reform progress, either slow down or the difficult ones completely off the table. But today it appears that the narrative market is coming to terms with it, that coalition in historically too has provided positive returns, and it's okay to be in a coalition in a softer version of your earlier avatar. Is market completely coming to terms in your view?
I would think that two things happened at a time. One, there is a growth related valuation, but on the top of it was the Modi premium, and the that Modi premium was all about speed of execution, speed of reforms, and the minuteness of work. When yesterday at some point a doubt emerged in his ability to either come as PM or to deliver at the same speed and detail, which is where market got very upset. And I think the following effect was that of a margin funding cascading impact too. But as you see today, market, if you ask me, is still just recovering a bit. It's not giving a thumping okay to a coalition government led by Modi, because it will be yet to be seen how it really pans out and how the speed is continuing to be there as compared to what market was expecting. That's why if you see the index is recovered, banks, of course, private banks have recovered. A little bit of shift you continue to see happening to FMCGs and that pharma and all that, which was not the flavor of the typical Indian growth story. So I think market continues to be a bit in doubt despite index recovering.
Bigger question is what to buy. What are the recommendations that went in from PL in the last 1 hour of trade yesterday, and of course continued today too?
I wouldn't say, because that is my technical and derivative desk, which will definitely say what is in last 1 hour that they should do for tomorrow. We also come out with all this BTST call and everything. But from my perspective, I can say that the same sectors where there is growth with the return of NDA government, the same sectors will do well. The shift which is happening now to protect capital, which would be medium term or short term, it cannot be long term. The long term India growth story has to be in manufacturing, capital goods, power, railway, etc., etc. The correction which is happening in the prices is very good. It is bringing some soberness in the valuations. But ultimately, if one wants to see in 2 to 3 years, growth will be higher there, money will be made there after a good round of correction.
That's exactly what I meant, Amisha. Given the kind of steep fall that we had pretty much across the board in the markets yesterday, barring, of course, some of the FMCG and consumption names, do you buy more of the same, irrespective of the valuations that we're currently sitting on? Or do you wait for a steeper fall and then buy more of the same names? All the themes that you just talked about, CapEx, infra, etc.
All these themes that I spoke about will either do a price correction or a time correction because their valuations were too stretched. Most of these, whether it is Vande Bharat train orders, defense orders, etc., etc., big things have happened and will continue to happen. but they have a lead period when it starts reflecting into numbers, which is minimum a year to year and a half. And anytime during that period, when a correction sets in, these stocks will look extremely costly and they will correct. So I would wait for opportune time. And these were the sectors which are overowned. That is another factor which is impacting them. So we will have to find a middle ground which will perform during this adjustment period also. And that's why I say that be it telecom, I wouldn't go to FMCG, which markets is becoming very gung-ho about. I would say telecom is a mid ground where there is volume growth and price growth. Hospitals within healthcare, I would prefer hospitals rather than a pharma, unless the pharma is a very specific story, like that was for Sun Pharma. So find where there is growth. I wouldn't just in a growing economy like ours put my money to defensives as yet. I don't think that time has come.
The way some of the PSUs were beaten, black and blue in last hour trade, some of the defense stocks completely shunned. Till yesterday or day before, they were the most loved area of the market. Suddenly, the fears set in. Any of those, do you think, don't take names, but at least tell us your call on them? Are they completely a no-go zone or not right? Some of the individual ideas in PSUs and even defense should be looked at now that they are available 25% lower.
No, I would take name.
Sure, please go ahead.
Because I think
Most
something
welcome.
like SBI is being such a fantastic franchise. It's a very digitally savvy and a good asset quality bank with having franchisee like SBI Mutual Fund, SBI Insurance, SBI Cards. I think that this doesn't justify this kind of a severe punishment, thinking that all the fiefdoms will be given through SBI. So I believe that this is a very good PSU franchise and this will bounce back sooner than later. Apart from the infra side, in infra side, I feel that the over allocation in some of the large mutual funds or HNI plus a little overvaluation will take a little more time for it to be the darlings of the markets again.
Okay, and let's see whether it's time-wise or price-wise correction, what plays out first. But today, of course, the recovery has been quite stunning. In fact, we are back to where we were on Monday. But great to have you on the show, Amisha. Thanks as always for taking the time out.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's move on and let's discuss what are the charts reading now. Kunal, what's your sense? Quite a bit of comeback for the index and across the board pretty much.
Yeah, I think very good comeback for the indices. The Nifty and Bank Nifty both back again above their respective 50 DMAs. So we are back again to that previous Friday, closing for both the indices, Nifty specifically. And that's a very strong recovery. You've seen in fact, today you've seen so many large cap sectors and stocks making a very strong comeback. The PSUs, at least till the first, half of the day, was on a bit of a back foot, but I think again, you've seen short covering in that particular sector. I strongly believe that this market, could now have settled into a major base formation. Yesterday's low, 300 odd for the Nifty and 46,300 for the Bank Nifty. I think could now be a major short-term, medium-term support for the index, and I think long positions should be scaled up from current levels also.
For a moment, let's talk about some of the very difficult areas to trade and risky as well. There are a couple of stocks which come to my mind. Shrikant is also there. Shrikant, let me take that question with you. Clutch of Adani Group stocks which are 20-25% lower. Even REC PFC specifically at one point in time were 20-25% lower. What is your call, the way they have rebound, if you can pull up those charts once again, and any of those names you like to even from here on or some pullback one can get in back?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
See, for the market, our view was that if it closes below 21,700, then it will have some more problem, because the market has spent almost 3 to 4 months above the levels of 21,700 on a closing basis. And yesterday also, even after dipping down to the levels of 21,300, we saw smart recovery and market managed to close above the same. So what I mean to say is that the trend is still intact. There is like specific buying interest around 21,700 or below that. At the same time, on the higher side, again, we could see the levels of maybe 22,800 or 23,000. And if that's the scenario, then we need to focus on those companies where the beta is very high. Today, yes, we are seeing good amount of buying activity and momentum in private banks, but at the same time, Adani stocks have also fallen to their important support levels on the day of the result outcome. I mean to say election outcome. But today again they are recovering back. Most of them are very close to their important supports. Adani Ports looks really strong even at current levels. It is trading around some 1360, 1370 levels. But Ajay, from here the stock can again claim back the levels of at least 1500 or 1550 in next few days. So currently almost all the stocks are very close to their day's highest levels. But if there is a positional view, then certainly we should look for adding Adani Enterprises as well as Adani Ports to the trading portfolio.
Okay, that's that on the Adani names. Kunal, I know ABFRL has been one of the top ideas, but what within the index would you recommend buying right now?
So I'll still go with HDFC Bank at current levels. I think this is the third attempt for the stock about 200 DM, and I think sooner or later you would see the stock going into a very strong upside. So I would probably believe HDFC Bank at current levels looks attractive. IndusInd Bank as well as Axis Bank also I think seem to be a very strong candidate of a further breakout for themselves, and I strongly believe that we could probably be at a zone where many of these large cap private sector banking names could be at least a 5% to 10% upside. So I think we would be surprised if we see a less than 5% move for many of these private sector banking names. So very bullish.
Actually, in hindsight, it's a perfect kind of a world. But if you look at the earnings, Kunal, I was just looking at earnings yesterday. The space in the market, Taisha, which has got the best quality earnings, but now has also seen the brunt of FI selling his banks.
Yeah.
And that is why when yesterday the market collapsed and you were nowhere to hide, perhaps the best thing would have been to go after quality banks. But look at some of the, Shrikant, you mentioned private banks briefly. I want to talk about two private banks. One may have a smaller history because of just got listed, Jana, small finance bank, but RBL, both of them are 10-12% higher. Both came out with good set of numbers, just for mention. But how are the charts looking, Jana and RBL Bank?
See, like for RBL Bank, our view is that it is consolidating in the range. It is not crossing its previous high, but most of the time, whenever the stock is falling, it is reversing back sharply. And it is finding resistance around 280-85 levels. Broadly, we are of the view that the stock is about to break its upward barrier, which is around 280. And eventually, the stock is like going to hit the levels of 320, 325 based on its technical pattern. So even at current levels, it's a very attractive buy, RBL Bank. For Jana Bank, we don't have any specific view, but we like Federal Bank, which is around 166, 167. And here also the relative outperformance is very high. We can see the levels of maybe 180, 185 in the near term.
Okay, Shrikant, hold on to that thought. We're going to take a very quick break on that note. We're still holding on to the gains on the index 22,600 on the Nifty futures. We'll track the last 15 minutes of trade on the other side. Well, what a screen this is. I mean, to think of it, yesterday seems like history forgone. We're now almost closing in on 22,700 on the index. It's a solid 784-point comeback on the index. And within the F&O basket, there is not a single loser out there. So it's really a one-sided market and recovery that you're seeing from yesterday's lows. But Ansh is here to highlight some of the top buzzers from within the pack. Ansh?
Right, so actually Nifty FMCG sector is in focus today. In early session, it was the top sectoral gainer, but still it is holding on to gains by over 4%. The index has registered its biggest single session gain in over 4 years. Also, if you see the chart, then the index seems to have given a good breakout from its cup and handle chart pattern. Let's talk about stocks now. First stock in FMCG sector we are seeing is Godrej Consumer. The stock has actually given a breakout from its horizontal resistance zone, which is at 1340 level. Also, the stock has touched record high level with volume of over 3 times its average trading volume of last 10 sessions. Apart from this, Britannia is also in focus as the stock has actually given a breakout from its upward sloping channel trend line. Also, it has touched record high level with volume of over 4 times its average volume of 10 sessions. Lastly, Marico will be in focus as the stock has given a breakout from its upward sloping resistance trend line with volume of over 5 times its average session of last 20 sessions. So keep an eye on the stocks.
Of course, there's definitely a big breakout happening, under-owned names, positive, normal monsoon and all of that. Shrikant, I want to discuss one stock with you, which has been a big trading range, has been in a very big trading range, and that is Z Entertainment. After Vodafone, perhaps the second most loved by the traders, but at the same time 280 to 130. Right now at 145. Why I brought it up is because there's a board meet which is lined up ahead, which they have informed the exchanges about a certain fundraising. Now, while the market is thinking about who would put money, is the promoter doing something or the other, at 145 odd, how does it look on the charts? Is anything on the charts on volumes price front?
I think, see, Z is sorry, Z is forming some interesting formation. The reason is because even though there is like weakness in the stock, the volumes are not that to the extent. So what it means that now the stock has discounted almost all the negatives and it is now trying to stabilize. It is in the range of 140, 135 on the downside, 150, 155 on the high side. But while looking at the pattern of last 2 months, I'm of the view that it is going to surpass its upward barrier, which is around 155, 160. And on the dismissal of that, we could see the levels of maybe 180, 85. So with a view of next at least a few days or few weeks, it's a buy. Also, if we go through with its monthly chart or quarterly charts, then based on that also, in the year 2020, when there was like the problem of COVID and the stock has fallen to its extreme levels of 125, that time there was like the reason of COVID. But despite this time, the reasons were like much concerning. We saw higher bottoming sort of formation. So I am of the view that the stock is settling. It will take some more time, but eventually we are going to see upward rally in the stock.
Metals, that's almost a sectoral charged up move. The market has digested negative news on Novelis as well, and look where Hindalco is as opposed to where it started off in trade. Any trading opportunity here?
I think the sector looks very strong. In fact, just last week or so, many of the stocks had gone through a 10-15% kind of a very generalistic correction, because it was not backed by very high volumes or high volatility, except for, of course, yesterday where many of the metal stocks had made a fresh swing low. But I think the fact that these stocks are recovered almost 50% of the losses in just a matter of one trading session indicates that this is a very strong sector trend in the making. I still believe that the likes of Hindalco from current levels looks very attractive. Tata Steel come back to that 164, 165 plus mark. That's also another attractive trade. Would look out for a breakout of the previous size of 175 to 180. JSW Steel, somehow the stock has been a bit of a low beta within the entire high beta metal pocket. That also looks attractive, closer to the 900 levels. I would believe that the stock could probably give a decent 10 to 15% upside. So I think it depends on the beta nature of one who's looking at from the metal pack, but I would be very bullish on the sector overall.
Okay. In fact, we had one of the biggest FI voices and one of the biggest India bulls, Christopher Wood from Jefferies, just talking to us shortly. Here's what he had to say about the way the markets digested both the exit poll as well as the election outcome, and what happens to markets from here onwards.
Really, the base case is that the current government remains in power with coalition partners, and that's not a disaster. But the reality is the great virtue of the last 10 years has been clear government, consistent policies, and not having to worry about horse trading between parties, which is always a feature of coalition governments. So personally, I'm surprised that the market is up today. But the good news from the fund flow standpoint on the Indian market is there's been huge retail flows into this market in recent months, quite dramatic actually in terms of the numbers. which is why I'm surprised there's not more of a correction right now. But the positive point is that the foreign investors are barely overweight India going into the election, because the market had done so well that driven by retail flows, the valuations were very high in the mid-cap space. So in my view, any significant correction in India from here will be met by foreign buying, who will see it as an opportunity.
Right. Shrikant, even battery stocks have come back very sharply. Look at Amara Raja Batteries, look at Exide. Any of the name which you like among these?
I think in that space, we need to focus on stock like Exide Industries. The reason is because even though there was sell-off in the stock on Tuesday, today we are seeing good amount of recovery, and it is again very close to its all-time highs. So while looking at the entire pattern of last almost 2 months, the stock is consolidating within the range of 440 and 530, 510 on the high side. So it's a rising consolidation, which is bullish, and most of the time it breaks on the upward side. So we are of the view that Exide looks really strong in this particular basket, and the stock can move to the levels of maybe 550 or 560. Even at current levels, it's a buy because the stock is holding well above the mark of 460, which is its near-term support.
Right, okay, that's the take coming in on some of these buzzing names. IndusInd Bank, of course, is your biggest mover right now. Adani Ports higher by about almost 8%. Of course, the stock was down 25% yesterday, so in that sense, still got a long way to go before it, makes up for yesterday's damage. But Adani Enterprises is well higher by about 5.5%. Tata Consumer has come back very strong, a good 5% move there. And yesterday, it was Unilever taking the lead. Kunal, you had recommended Unilever both yesterday as well as today. Do you replace that now with another name, or still continue to buy more of Unilever?
No, I think the major part of the move is done. When you see FMCG stocks moving up 10-15% in a matter of 2 days, the major part of the cream is out. Yes, these stocks can rally by another 5% broadly, but that's what the risk reward is skewed in that sense. So I believe that it makes a lot of sense to now shift to. So if the market comes back into a risk on mode, it makes a lot of sense to try and book profits into these FMCG names and come back to that high risk or high beta sectors.
Talking of consumer names, there's a very interesting pattern developing in the market. Shrikant, check out how United Spirits is gaining in trade right now, along with United Breweries. And guess what? Giving it very good companies, Bikaji Foods and Gopal Snacks. I mean, just the right kind of names moving together.
The ones who are crying and rejoicing.
Both,
both need it.
Khushi mein bhi, gum mein bhi. You need that kind of a product, and of course the compliments.
By the way, USL was up, I think, 3% yesterday also, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. USL
now
was
you check
up
out the
yesterday.
charts of these 4 names and tell us where is a possible trade. USL, United Breweries, Gopal Snacks, Bikaji. Shrikant?
I think this USL looks really a strong candidate to buy. The reason is because here also we saw good amount of consolidation. The stock was just like into boring consolidation phase, but that particular consolidation was completely on the, I'm going to say, the rising sort of consolidation that we were like seeing on the chart. And today, eventually, the stock has broken this consolidation. So it was the consolidation of last several months. I'm going to say at least 7-8 months. And crossing this level clearly indicates that the stock is heading for at least 1500 and maybe in the long run 2000 sort of levels, because prior to this consolidation, we saw spectacular rally in the stock. So broadly, I'm of the view that similar sort of activity is more likely on the card for the company. Something is, I think, going to come in terms of its in terms of maybe fundamental news flow or something. But at current levels also it's a buy. Apart from that, we like Bikaji Foods. The reason is because here also the stock spent time and it was forming some rounding bottom formation. Today it has broken that particular level. So based on its formation, the next level to watch out for would be somewhere close to 750 or 800. So most of these stocks, most of the FMCG stocks or most of this such type of stocks are crossing or breaking their long-term consolidations, which is positive, and maybe that's the reason we are seeing good amount of activity in almost all the stocks. So Bikaji also looks good at current levels.
Okay, let's just take in some BTST trades as well on that note. Kunal, what's on your list?
So I'll go with Ashok Leyland as the first stock, which I would suggest as a buy with a target of 240, stop loss to be kept at 208, and HDFC Bank would be the other stock which I would recommend at current levels of 1540 approximately, with a potential target of 1600 and stop loss at 1500.
Right. And Shrikant, let's have your BTST trades as well.
Yeah, Aisha, I would like to go with Power Finance Corporation. It is forming some complete reversal formation after hitting the multiple support zone, which was around some 400, 405 levels. Currently, it is at 443, 445. But based on its formation, I'm expecting stock to move towards at least 470, 75 in the near term. So it's a buy at current levels with a stop loss close to 430. And the other stock which we like is Bharat Electronics. There also, we are seeing double bottom sort of formation. Currently, it is around 260. Based on technicals, it is heading for 275. So it's a buy at current levels with a stop loss close to 250.
Okay, Shrikant, Kunal, both of you, we'll let you go on that note. And what a solid recovery after yesterday's pain and carnage that transpired. Let me take it across to Vinny and find out what the closing rates are looking like.
So absolutely a stellar day in terms of an up move that we have seen for the Nifty 50. Look at it closing, with a mark of 22,550 above that levels, more than 600 points of gains for the Nifty 50. Sensex up more than 2,000 points is what the Sensex is at. 74,275 around those mark is what the Sensex will be closing at, both with gains of more than 3%. Nifty as well as the Sensex. And let's look at the broader markets, how they performed today. When you look at the broader markets also, very good performance coming in from the broader market, especially the mid-cap names, and Nifty mid-cap seeing gains of more than 4.27%, 4% for the Nifty mid-cap, 3.7% for the Nifty small-cap. Slight bit of an outperformance, you could say, that came in from the broader markets. Today in the Nifty 50, we surely saw the metal pack that was overall shining. Nifty metal among the top sectoral gainers. And look at the names, whether you see an Hindalco, we have Hindalco seeing a very, very sharp recovery from the day's lowest point, almost 9-10% recovery from the day's lowest point for Hindalco, closing with gains of 7%. In the morning, we did have the news of Novelis Inc. IPO being postponed, but yes, keeping an eye out on Hindalco, SAIL, JSW Steel, all of them trading with very, very strong gains. Today, the Adani names, like you can see, is Adani Ports, Adani Enterprises, all of them also managing to see good gains, whether it is Ports or Enterprises, all of them managing to see some bit of a gain on that front. Other than that, FMCG, that continues to shine. Yesterday, that was the slight bit of a bright spot, but today, Nifty FMCG also among the top sectoral gainers, and HUL, Nestle, Britannia, Tata Consumers, all of them managing to hold on to very, very strong gains. Jeffries surely does like HUL in the overall FMCG pack, and they raised the target price. So HUL was one of those names which saw gains of almost 4%. Other than that, what is interesting today is that all the sectors are going to be closing in the green, and all of them upward of 2%. So an interesting day. We've seen a lot of up move. ABFRL among the top F&O gainers. Interesting day shaping up there. Very few names that were losing in trade. One of them was L&T on the Nifty 50. But other than that, a very good closing and a very good day coming for the Nifty and the markets in terms of a recovery.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.